Thought of the day. Are you as afraid of AI as you should be? Now, look, I was raised on Terminator and The Matrix and so many other things. And a lot of times when people say things about AI and are worried about AI and all the bad things it's going to do to society and humanity, you get kind of blown off as just somebody who buys into too much movie hype. And sure, I'm positive there's part of that in it. But there is the other side of it, the realistic side of it. When you listen to people like Jeffrey Hinton, if you don't know who he is, you can Google him. He was one of the lead developers of AI at Google. And he quit, and starting, I want to say around 2022, 2023, he started making the rounds talking about how detrimental AI would be to society from multiple perspectives and levels, and kind of ranging from, just how it's going to affect jobs in the economy up to, the whole AI apocalypse thing. And it wasn't just that he was concerned about AI as its own thing and what it could do. He was deeply concerned about what the companies and corporations and governments that were developing it were going to do with it. And so I'm going to stay away from the whole, Terminator, Matrix, AI apocalypse stuff, and just tell you should be concerned about how AI itself and how it's going to be used to affect the economy and jobs, because it absolutely 100% is, especially with how far we've come just in the last decade when it comes to automation and how they are combining AI and automation. There's going to be very few sectors of the economy, very few job markets that are not drastically, and from a human perspective, detrimentally affected by AI and automation. And it's going to happen very, very quickly. And I don't think people really get that. It's going to happen exponentially quicker than other drastic changes that we've seen on a similar level. Like, for instance, when the car took over for the horse, right? That was a much slower transition than what we're going to see with AI and automation, especially because AI and automation is already introduced on a level that most people don't really notice, but it is there and has been there for a while. And, look, I'm a prepper, so I'm, according to some, prone to paranoia. So there is always that aspect of it. But from a prepper perspective, it certainly begs the question, like, how do you prepare for that? And honestly, I don't know. I mean, with corporations doing what they're going to do, which is to try and maximize power and profit, they're going to push for the government to allow them to implement these things and allow the government themselves as an entity to implement these things. And who knows, they might try and push some sort of universal basic income or whatever else. I don't know. But how can you prepare personally? And my mind just goes back to the same way you prepare for everything else. Food, water, guns, ammo, things with intrinsic value, whether that be for your own personal use or for using as currency, whatever it may be. Just keep prepping the same way you would always prep, because there really doesn't appear to be, at least not at this point, a specific way you can prep for how AI and automation might affect the job market and the economy, right? You just look at it like any other problem you would potentially prepare for, which is just make sure you've got the things you need to survive. And it's just one of those things that I really feel like not enough people are concerned about it. In fact, I think it has become one of the things outside of just corrupt government itself that I am the most concerned about, more so than World War III or Civil War or, natural disasters, anything like that. And the vast majority of the sectors of the economy and the job market are going to be affected in ways that are just simply not reversible. Now, there will probably be some sectors of the job market that won't be affected as easily, or it will be much harder to co-opt those sectors of the economy, but it's going to affect everybody to an extent, and it is definitely something that everybody needs to take into consideration.